I do want to ask you guys who here, just by show of hands, is familiar with Lindsay Clancy. Who's familiar? Show of hands. Raise them high, please. Raise them high. 1, 2, 3. Only 3 of you.
I have a question.
Okay, what's up?
Is that
Wait, you're way too far from the mic. Please get closer.
Sorry. I just wanted to clarify if that was the case of the lady that had psychosis.
That's what I suppose they're alleging, that she had psychosis, postpartum depression, some other things. But yes, that is the case. So, okay, it was you.
I was thinking about another Lindsay, honestly.
Okay, it's the viral one. If you're on TikTok, it's been going viral. So essentially the story here, I don't have this pulled up, Tiffany. Can you pull up let's just go to Google search Lindsay Clancy and go ahead and pull up the Wikipedia article. That'll give some context, because we do have a panel here that a lot of them just aren't familiar. So we're going to get everyone caught up to speed kind of on exactly what happened. But before we kind of dive into that, of the people that already know about it, can you just, I guess, give us your take on it?
Okay, so for Lindsay, allegedly she has psychosis and postpartum depression, as he was saying. So she allegedly strangled her.
Wait. So I'm not asking for an explanation. We're going to get into that. I'm asking you what your take on the case is.
So my take is that she was drugged and she didn't do it, and her ex-husband is behind it.
Oh my God. Okay.
With evidence.
You have evidence?
So they're going back to the blood splatter, as I was talking about.
Oh my God.
So there was perfectly circled blood splatter, and where the nightstand desk has been moved on top of it. How would a perfectly drops of blood fall if there's a nightstand there? So usually, it's where she had her,
So you've reviewed, just to be clear, the blood splatter evidence is currently public.
It is.
And so, did the defense during the trial? Are you following the trial?
Well, Mr. Reddington is looking into it again because
who's that?
Her lawyer.
Her lawyer. Okay.
Yeah.
So you're saying that there's blood spatter evidence that points to what?
That points to, doesn't match what they are alleging of her doing. So upstairs, there's these perfect blood splatters, but there's a nightstand. How could that blood splatter get under the nightstand? It couldn't. So they're thinking that the table was moved, and so was the bed, because she couldn't have thrown herself outside of the window if she had cut her throat and her wrist. How could somebody throw themselves outside of a window if they had slashed their wrists and their throat, and her body temperature on her Apple Watch isn't matching the events that they said occurred? So there's more evidence that have coming into the court.
Wait, hold on. So you think that in order to open a window and exit a window, so are you alleging she was not thrown, she didn't fall out of the window or was thrown herself out? Someone else threw her.
Did.
So the husband
Yes,
threw her out
correct.
of the window.
Because
you said she slit her throat, slit her wrist, and somebody is incapable of throwing themselves, jumping out of a window.
Because her body, they're doing the math with her Apple Watch as well, and his whereabouts. He lied about his whereabouts, which footage came out about that.
That's completely ridiculous. He didn't lie about his whereabouts. Hold on, but before we dive into all the evidence stuff, of the other women here who are familiar with the case, I believe it was, who else raised their hand?
I raised my hand.
Okay, where do you land on the Lindsay Clancy case?
It's hard because I'm a mom. I've never suffered with the postpartum depression. I've never wanted to kill my children. But watching it is really terrifying, because everything that gets talked about after you've done it doesn't really give clear context into what was leading up to it, I guess.
Okay, here, let me perhaps break it. Do you support Lindsay Clancy?
I do not.
Okay, do you think she is innocent?
I do not think she's innocent.
Do you think the husband killed do you think Lindsay Clancy was framed and the husband or someone else actually murdered the children?
I don't think that.
Do you think Lindsay Clancy murdered the children?
I think that.
Okay. Who you were familiar with it?
Oh, no,
Who was anybody here familiar with it? I saw 3 hands up. Okay. What's your stance, I guess, on it?
Like, I wouldn't be that surprised if she, like, had some sort of, like, mental episode and went insane and killed them. So, I believe it.
Okay. Do you support Lindsay Clancy?
No.
Okay. Do you support Lindsay Clancy?
I support the truth. And
Well, you believe that the truth is
I believe-
she was framed. It wasn't her who killed the children. It was the husband.
I believe he's also guilty until proven innocent. So he's not.
Wait, repeat that?
I believe he's also guilty until proven innocent because they're trying to move a trial onto him as well.
You believe he's guilty until proven innocent?
Yes, that's what we say in court. That's how it is.
The opposite, innocent until proven guilty.
Well, like with him, recently what we've been saying, no, that is the usual what they say. But we were talking about
my
it with
God,
some of
bro.
my criminology classmates.
How much money? How much cash do you have on you right now? Do you have any cash?
No, I don't have any cash.
Do you have like $500 in like a bank account or something?
And yes.
Okay. Let's do a wager. So do you think, like you said, it's what they say? So you said guilty until proven innocent. Is it that or innocent until
No,
proven
it's
guilty?
innocent until proven. That is just, I was saying he's guilty right now. For him, I'm only saying that right now because for the evidence that came out, that's all.
Wait, hold on. You said, so okay, can you clarify? In a court of law,
It's innocent until proven guilty, but I was saying that for his case, with the evidence that came out, he looks really guilty.
so has he been proven guilty?
No.
So how could it possibly be guilty until proven innocent?
It's just with the photos and everything, there's more data that's been coming through. From what it looks like, he's been keeping things when he shouldn't have if he's innocent. Because who goes on a Costa Rica trip after his wife killed his kids?
Wait, when's the last time you went on a trip?
I don't go on a trip if someone who I cared about died 10 days after.
How would that be? Look, you have to understand, just because what you consider to be odd behavior, this wouldn't be evidence that this person has committed a crime.
He went with his current wife when they went together with a woman
How soon after?
16 days after the murders.
I would have to fact check if like the actual timeline of when this happened. Even that being the case, can you, one, I don't know if this was pre-planned or something new or he wanted to get away. I can certainly see the contrary argument is if you've just undergone like a highly traumatic incident, you maybe just want to leave.
With a
You
woman?
want to get away. You want to like get your mind off. You don't want to be living in the house where like your fucking bitch ex-wife strangled your children to death. Like I'd probably want to minimum leave my house. I don't want to sleep in the house. Like that would be terrifying to me.
I understand that.
So the idea that just because he went on and again, I'm not sure if that's the exact timeline. You have some information I don't have. Even granting it, that wouldn't be evidence that he's killed the children because he went on a vacation, which may or may not have been
I'm
pre-planned.
saying his lack of remorse for the situation. That's really important. in
What
case
evidence do you have that there's lack of remorse?
Okay, so in court, they literally talked about how he left 16 days after the murder with the woman that he's married to right now.
How does that establish that he murdered anybody?
There's
Let me ask you a
other-
question.
yeah.
Wait, okay, here, let's try this out. So let's assume that you didn't commit a crime, and then 16 days later, you go on a vacation.
With a mistress.
Does that
he married to.
establish that you committed the crime?
No, it just looks lack of remorse, and that's suspicious, enough suspicious for the judge.
How hold on. First off, how does that establish lack of remorse?
That is lack of remorse. I
It
can't
would
go
not
to a
be-
vacation if my husband killed my kids. I don't go with another man to a trip.
It would never occur to some women to like have a fucking pixie cut either, but it occurred to you. Like most women have long hair, so I don't understand the logic here. Just because something wouldn't occur to you to do doesn't mean that it's like somehow pointing towards or evidence that he's guilty.
But why are we just blaming the woman when she was drugged?
Whoa,
There is
hold on. What evidence that
her fingerprints weren't on the murder weapon either?
what was the murder weapon?
It was this knife upstairs on the nightstand that was moved.
The murder weapon was a knife. You clearly, whoa.
Well,
oh my
like the
God.
weapon she, not the ropes. I'm talking about the knife she used. That's technically, she was supposed to die. So they're calling a murder weapon because it is a weapon that was used to cut herself.
I'm sorry, Tiffany, you need to pull up ChatGPT because we have to fact check some of these claims. So, she self-harmed. Is there actually, like, did they take DNA from the knife?
Yeah, they did. And then they were
Okay.
talking about how,
Now, did she wear gloves?
no, she didn't wear gloves.
Okay, so because even if there's a lacking of a DNA on an item, doesn't like disprove the fact that somebody used the item.
Just his was on it more than hers.
Was it a knife that was used in the household that he also resided in?
No, that was not the knife.
I'm sorry, if you live in a house, and you use a kitchen knife, and he's like he cooked a steak the night before, there's going to be
I don't
his
exactly
DNA.
because I don't want to say anything false, so I don't remember everything exactly, but that's just from so far what I remember reading with all the notes that comes out from court and everything. But they also studied the cuts. Since she was a nurse, if you wanted to kill yourself, you would know where to cut. So that's what they're questioning as well. The person who did that had no idea of the anatomy.
Hold on,
of the,
what kind of nurse is she?
She was a like she worked in pediatrics for
So
pregnant
babies.
Yeah.
How many babies are committing suicide by slitting their wrists? So the idea that
No, but
the idea that every single nurse would know like the appropriate mechanism, like the most effective way to slit your wrist to commit suicide, I would reject that. The idea just like I would understand maybe like an emergency nurse like who sees suicides and like maybe, but I would even argue even then you could have a nurse who does work in the emergency room, and I don't believe it would be the case that all nurses would definitively know that the most effective way to commit suicide by cutting your wrist is to do it like this way as opposed to this way. Whether she knew or not seems kind of irrelevant.
No, it's just she helped deliver babies, so they know how to cut. They know how to cut.
So okay, so is it impossible?
You have to learn that before becoming a nurse. You have to learn a lot of stuff.
You have to wait. If you have to learn, in what part of nursing school do
All
they say?
nurses could tell
"All right,
you how to cut. All nurses know how. They all do.
Wait, these are two completely separate claims. Okay, nurses know how to like make surgical incisions.
They know where they're.
Okay, but hold on. Nurses know, which there may be some dispute as to like all nurses know. Like, are you talking about
They're smart.
like
I'm just saying-
C-sections?
No, C-sections.
Cesarean
Yes, but I'm
sections?
saying all nurses
I'm not
know
sure.
what artery to cut because they have to learn that.
Oh
If
my
you don't
God,
know that, then you can't be a nurse.
that's a pretty strong claim there. So
They're
okay.
smart. They all had to study that.
So hold on, a couple things here. Hold on. So there's quite a bit flawed with this line of argumentation. So do you think it's impossible? Like, how many nurses are in the United States? I would say there's like tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands. I can guarantee you that we could probably poll nurses and be like, hey, do you know like the best way to like kill yourself by slitting your wrist? Is it like a long?
No, it's not that. It's the artery that they know to hit. They feel it. They know it. Not going like this because she went
I would
like
even
that.
argue that like you could like poll nurses and putting the most effective way to unalive yourself. You'd ask them like, hey, are you familiar like
Which artery?
you went to nursing school 20 years ago. Do you know like the artery that's like right here? I would say like
They take blood. They know what it is. They all do.
usually they take blood from the
Yes, that's connected
here.
to this.
What would that have to do? Okay, hold on. These are crazy claims. So like just
These are
because
not
there are
claims.
What do you mean? What are they?
Like
then?
I'm sharing actual facts to you.
It's not factually correct that every single nurse in this nation knows the most effective way to commit suicide by
They
slitting
know
the wrist.
where the artery is because they draw blood, and
They
that's
mu-
connected to
well,
the
I'm
whole
going to
arm.
contest even that. I'm going to contest that there are some nurses who don't even know that.
Then
There are
that's
some-
dumb.
there are
They
some-
should know.
Sorry for interjecting, but if there are any nurses who don't know that, I do not want them as my nurse.
Exactly. Thank you. They're supposed to know
Wait,
that.
well, no. Hold on. First off, nurses are not like they have not committed to memory like the entirety of human anatomy. They have like a much higher understanding of like anatomy and certain medical things as compared to the general population, but they're not an encyclopedia. Nurses are not encyclopedias. Even doctors are not encyclopedic in
Exactly,
terms of
yeah.
their medical knowledge.
But-
So this idea that it's completely implausible that a nurse would like not know the correct procedure as to how to do this. Also, I would double down on this. Even if she did know, even if she did know the best way to do it, I would argue you're alleging that she was pumped full of drugs. She's probably fucking...
And that was no
Wait, hold on. She's bonked in the mind. She just went through the most traumatic thing one could go through, which is fucking strangling your own kids, which is like a very personal way to kill somebody. You know, it's not like with a gun when you're distant. When you're strangling someone, you feel with your hands the life
They
exiting
weren't
from
strangled with
them.
their hands. It
Well,
was
okay,
used-
she was...
yeah.
We don't know this precise detail. She was using like an exercise band
Exercise
to
rope
do
and
it.
they were tied.
She was very up close with it. So she just killed her 3 children. The woman's not in the correct state of mind. Like, I'm not sure that somebody who's not in the correct state of mind, even if they would otherwise know the best, most effective way to like slit your wrist, in the heat of the moment, you could be like, oh, whoopsie, I did it the wrong way. I'm gonna jump out the window and slice my shit.
And I
Josh
feel like
Brooks donated $100.
Yep.
I feel like
you
you're
don't
thinking
pull
about
blood
this.
from the artery anyway, you absolute dolt chair 3.
There's some
Dodo.
there's some super chats, Tiffany. If you, I don't know if you did you show these, Tiffany?
Every
you
nurse
did,
knows where the artery is because they have to draw blood. But I feel like you're getting really emotional about this
I'm not-
case instead
well,
of
I'm
thinking
not
about it logically with the information
I'm-
and the facts that have been put into court with Mr. Reddington, her lawyers, and all the witnesses that have came to the stand that could support those claims. And
Speaking in an impassioned way doesn't mean I'm getting emotional. Perhaps there's a bit of flusteredness by you say that I'm not thinking factually or logically. I would actually reverse this on you and say that it's actually you who's lacking in coherence and logic. But I would say that it seems like the evidence is quite overwhelming. The prosecutor says she did it. The defense team says she did it. She says she did it. There's overwhelming evidence that she did it. They are not trying to, this is not a whodunit case. This is what they're trying to argue, the defense, and by the way, the defense has a duty to, as lawyers, as criminal defense attorneys, they want the best possible outcome for their
Dalamar
client.
donated $100.
she says she doesn't even
These
remember.
ladies understand that this trial isn't guilt or innocent. The trial is determining going to jail for life or nut house for life. She already pleaded guilty.
Right, she pleaded guilty. So I'll let you respond, but really quick. So, the argument that the defense is making is about is she criminally responsible because she's attempting to basically do the insanity defense.
And
So that's what they're like. Is
and
she,
I'm not defending her. I'm just saying you guys
you
aren't
are.
looking outside the
You
box.
are defending her.
You guys think she's guilty because of the way everything's been put. But
overwhelming
for
evidence,
No,
yes.
but going back to the medication, her ex-husband
Oh, boy.
held onto her medication, the Seroquel, the sleeping meds. He held onto those when she didn't need them anymore. As
Keep
her
this,
doctor
Tiffany,
said,
keep this, Tiffany.
she got better and she didn't show any signs. She was fine. So it was really odd for her own doctor to even think that she could have done this. Also, Lindsay said that she doesn't even remember committing it because how drugged up she was. And how could someone be so drugged up and not remember doing something so tragic, something so terrible?
Wait, these are completely contradictory. So on one hand, she was super drugged up.
Yeah, but I said her husband was holding on to the medication. Those were the medications.
Where's
that
the
were-
evidence for that? But hold on, really
In
quick.
court, they
so
should-
this is it's below the threshold. We don't really read membership messages. So she was of sound enough mind to remember her nurse training, but not enough to not kill her kids.
She didn't remember her nurse training. That's what I was saying.
Okay.
Or she would have killed herself.
Wait, I have a question for you. So, like, do you think it would be impossible if, say, and who knows how close to the window she did this, but like, I'm pretty far
was
away,
really far from
but I'm
the
far
window.
from the balcony right now. Like, I'm pretty confident and obviously she did a really bad job. Like, did she slit both
No,
both
she went
wrists?
like this though. It was
Wait.
like this, but the cuts were left-handed and she's right-handed.
Wait, whoa, how would you establish?
That's why I'm saying you haven't been looking at the facts that's been
Bro,
coming
how
out.
would
They've
you
been talking about it in
establish-
court.
How would you establish whether a cut is
That's what we're
left-handed?
learning in my class too. That's a way to find out.
Huh?
I don't know about the case at all, but this is what I do know
Oh my
from the
God,
medical
bro.
perspective. I don't know the case. When you try to commit suicide by cutting your wrist, there are two patterns, horizontal or vertical. Okay?
Well, now you're saying that she actually did cut.
No, I'm saying allegedly.
vertical.
No, I'm just saying because you said she cut it, so I'm saying she cut it. Correct?
Well,
So
no, I'm
while-
actually
Let
just
me
going.
finish.
I'm just going off what you said.
I'm
going
not
off what you
defending
said.
either way. I'm just bringing my
Oh my
what I
God.
know
Okay.
about
All right.
technicality. When you try to commit suicide horizontal, you damage the tendon, so you cannot grab anything else.
Well, that I would suppose that would depend. What are we doing here, Tiffany? What are you looking for?
And therefore, if you are right-handed, once you cut your left hand, it's very impossible for you to go to the right hand because you can no longer grab because you already cut your tendons.
That's what
Hold
they're
on.
trying to argue, that she couldn't cut her own both wrists.
If you did it vertically,
Hold on, we're making a lot of assumptions here.
No, we're not making-
Okay, so can you clarify? So again, I don't have like all the details about the case. Was it a horizontal or a vertical cut?
It was a very deep cut. I'm pretty sure it went like this. But what
Wait,
they're-
but then why did you say
Well, no.
you've sent
I
us
said-
on a wild goose
I
chase?
didn't. I just said the veins. I've been trying to tell you the arteries, that she didn't hit the arteries that are going down.
So
I've
she
been doing
wouldn't
the
have.
hand movement.
So
the whole
she would
time.
have been able to open the window. Also, I would argue, even if
She
you were to do a horizontal slice, depending on how deep it is, maybe you don't get deep enough to disable your hands.
The cuts were super deep. They put
I was
pictures
going to
of it.
finish. If you do
She's saying if it's horizontal.
and if it's vertical, that when you do the cut vertical, is people who has medical background because they know by cutting vertical, you will not clot, you will not close. So you are forced to
out.
bleed
What does that
to
have
death.
to do? Wait, but what does that have to do with anything? Like 13-year-olds, if they like research this online, can figure out like, okay, if you're actually trying to do this, vertical is more effective.
And then you will have to start with your right hand if you're
Yeah.
right-handed, so you can do both.
You
Or
can't
try.
do both.
Wait. This is hold on.
He still
I
isn't
reject
getting
the
it.
idea that a vertical cut here would completely disable your hand. That's not backed up by any like
It
medical
will
science
not disable.
whatsoever.
Listen again. When you cut vertical, you are cutting deep enough in your vein, so you will not clot. The clot will prevent you from bleeding out. If you
What does this have to do with anything? This is
It has to
completely,
do everything with it.
No, it doesn't.
Yes,
It's
it
completely
does.
ridiculous. So your contention is that it is completely impossible to cut both sides. No person who's ever committed suicide
Cutting
in
that
history
deep.
has. That's completely false. It's completely
No,
false.
but how do you know that?
One,
You're so,
well,
like,
one,
you
we
think
don't.
you're
Do you know
so
the
right.
depth? First off, do you know the
Yeah,
depth? do
they
you know the
posted
precise?
it. They talked about it. You're not.
It's completely
No, then you
ridiculous.
should read up on the case.
It's okay. What do you have?
You go first.
What about that girl from 13 Reasons Why?
She
The
used a
fuck?
razor blade.
She went like that.
But that wasn't accurate. It was just that was they literally said that's not an accurate scene, and then they put a whole warning on that episode. You can't cut that deep and be able to do it on your other hand. But she cut her throat. That's what I'm trying to say.
This
Her
is
throat
factually
was
just
cut
untrue.
bleeding.
This is factually untrue. This is completely bogus. This idea. First off, we don't know are there photos of the cuts?
Yes, there is. They
Publicly
showed it on the
available?
stand. Yes.
Okay.
Search
we
it up.
gotta fact check.
Search up
some.
all the case
We probably
photos.
can't show it on
And
YouTube, but
on
Lindsay,
trial too.
Clancy.
The trial was live, and they showed it. He pulled it out, and even actually, the other side, the lawyers showed the pictures too. They had it printed in big photos, saying, "Were these your injuries? Correct?" And she's like, "Yes, that's from what I remember." But I'm telling the truth because I've been actually studying and looking at both sides of everything. And I'm not being emotional or anything. I'm actually trying to use my knowledge that I've been learning in school, that I really care about my major. I really care about the right person going to jail.
Okay,
you know how
so
many wrong people go to jail?
Yeah. So I have something here. Medical experts testified that her wrist cuts were full thickness lacerations that extended through the outer layers of skin into the underlying fatty tissue, but did not sever any major arteries, veins, or tendons. All of
That's
these
what I
thi-
was saying.
Right, but so that wouldn't prevent her from having control of her
it was
other
a
hand.
superficial cut.
Yeah, it was super.
Well, it's not superficial, but she didn't sever any major arteries, veins, or tendons. These are the things that would have enabled her in terms of control to cut the other side and then to cut the neck and then to open. I
Can
don't
you
know if
search
the
up her
windows.
throat cut too?
Okay, we can search up Lindsay, Clancy.
Like, because hers was
Throat
really
cut.
deep. Like, that's what they're trying to say. Oh, so would you be
But-
able to cut both your wrists and your throat get up from the bed, all the way from the bed, and then go all the way to the window, open the window, open the curtains.
I could
But
be
she's drugged. Remember that. She can't move. So the Seroquel was making her
This is like
sleepy.
Schrodinger's Lindsay, like Schrodinger's Lindsay Clancy. On
You
one hand,
can't do that.
on one hand, she's okay.
Do you think
Hold on. Is this important?
you can go?
No, go. Just go.
I_heart_ghost rider donated $100. The woman is a complete psychopath. She unalived 3 babies. Of course she's going to botch her butterfly to make herself look insane so could plead insanity.
Yeah, let me interject real quick there. Sideways for attention, long ways for results. We're all forgetting that right now. I think she definitely staged it to look like she was ready to kill herself with the kids. And I don't know anything about the case right now, but just knowing from the way she cut herself just seems like it's more attention based, if anything. You can do that. I've known people who survived those
Also, you
things.
should listen up to the 911 call too.
On one hand, here's Lindsay Clancy Schrodinger's, the Schrodingers. So on one hand, she's like this super intelligent medical nurse who knows like exactly how to unalive herself with the like exact perfect cuts, and then but she's also on the drugs, which would inhibit her mental state. So either like her hands weren't working, she would have died because of her like really good cuts, but also she was on drugs, so maybe the cuts weren't good. What do you have?
I was just going to say if we can clarify the case for those that do not know, because there's a majority of us that don't know the full case.
Okay, we'll pull the Wikipedia up really quick.
Can I get back to the drugs
Hold
real
on,
quick?
hold on. So, okay, really quick on the cut thing, then we're going to explain, like, for the fucking people who don't know. She had multiple superficial cuts to both sides of her neck, alongside the 2 deeper linear incisions on her throat, and numerous hesitation marks. So, like, this doesn't establish that that this would have made her incapable to jump out of a window or whatever.
May I explain now?
Really quick, let me Tiffany, do you have the Wikipedia for her? Yeah. Okay, let's pull that up. All right. I need someone who's a good reader, who has a good voice. Yeah, you. Make it bigger, please.
Oh, me? Okay. On January 24th, 2023, Lindsay and Patrick Clancy's 3 young children were strangled by Lindsay Clancy, and she was found unconscious in an apparent suicide attempt outside her home in Duxbury, Massachusetts. Lindsay Clancy was accused of the murders and pleaded not guilty to the charges, with her defense admitting to the killings but arguing that Clancy should not be held criminally responsible. It's cut off.
Tiffany, you gotta lower it.
Because her actions were the result of a severe postpartum mental health crisis.
Okay, so the charges are first-degree murder, 3 counts, strangulation, 3 counts, and then can you maybe zoom it out a little bit? I'm gonna have you scroll down just a bit. Okay, like, wait, that's too much. That's too. I need it bigger. Make it bigger, please. Okay, scroll down. Okay. So she had postpartum anxiety following the birth of her first 2 children. After the birth of her second child, she talked to a therapist, took Zoloft. She said her symptoms returned and worsened after the birth of her 3rd child, particularly toward the end of her maternity leave. She was going to start Zoloft again. She went to see a psychiatrist. She was diagnosed with a generalized anxiety disorder. She was prescribed Zoloft.
Not everything on here is correct.
Not everything on here is correct?
Yeah, that's what they're talking about. Like, most of it is, but not all information, because of Wikipedia, not everything's accurate. That's why.
Okay, well, I mean, Wikipedia is mostly for the sake of like some of this background information. I think it's pretty fair.
Well, the background information was correct, like the counts.
Here, pull it back up, please. She was described Ativan, anti-anxiety medication. She had sleeplessness. She was using Benadryl, prescribed Boost Bar. I'm not sure what that is. She did not take it. Ativan may be addictive. Reduced her dosage. Scroll down. Condition worsened. She lost her appetite, withdrew socially. Said that although Ativan had helped her feel normal again, scroll down, she was prescribed trazodone. It was ineffective. Scroll down. She was prescribed Prozac, Ambien, Remeron, Klonopin. She left the hospital. She was prescribed Seroquel, an antipsychotic.
Was she ever hospitalized?
Yeah,
she
multiple
was,
times.
She was having intrusive thoughts,
But they released her.
wanting to be.
She
Okay, she was
passed.
suicidal. She was numb, no emotion whatsoever. Let's see.
Might I add?
She was having hallucinations. She contacted suicide hotlines.
And they said she didn't need help.
She did not have a plan to hurt herself. Somebody suggested she had bipolar disorder. Scroll down. She went to the emergency room. She declined inpatient treatment. She admitted herself to a day program for postpartum depression at the hospital. They quickly discharged her. Her issues were more likely related to overmedication misdiagnosis than to postpartum depression. Advised her to stop taking Seroquel. Scroll down. She was going to help. She was going to try to taper off. She went to the emergency room again, December 31st, 2022. She voluntarily began inpatient treatment. A highly ranked psychiatric institution diagnosed her with major depressive disorder, severe without psychotic features. So doctor says she was not displaying psychosis. She was prescribed Ativan and Trazodone in January of 2023. This doctor, Dr. Tufts, described her as deteriorating, changed her medication, prescribed amitriptyline. January 23rd, the day before the killings, she had a virtual appointment with Dr. Tufts. She looked depressed. She had to force herself out of the bed, denied suicidal and homicidal thoughts, and he did not observe psychosis. Okay. So here's the case, the killings. Scroll down. According to Patrick, the husband, somebody else please read these? Okay, here, let me have you read it.
According to Patrick, in the morning of January 24th, 2023, Lindsay Clancy told him that she had slept pretty well and was feeling good. Clancy had become preoccupied with their daughter Cora's stomach ache, concerned that it was caused by liver issue, and took her to the pediatrician appointment. In the afternoon, she built a snowman and did an art project with the kids. Throughout the day, she exchanged routine texts with Patrick, who was working from home. At 5:15 p.m., Clancy called a restaurant to place a takeout order. At Clancy's request, Patrick left their residence to pick up the food and to buy medication for Cora. At 5:32 p.m., Patrick stopped at the drugstore. He was seen on surveillance video calling Clancy about which medication to buy. Clancy did not pick up immediately, but called back a minute later. Patrick later testified that she seemed busy. He arrived at the restaurant at 5:54 p.m. and returned home shortly after 6 p.m.
Continue.
While her husband was gone, Clancy strangled her 3 children with exercise bands in the basement, after which she attempted suicide by cutting her wrists and neck and jumping from the second-story window. Clancy sustained spinal cord injuries from the fall and was hospitalized. She remains paralyzed from the waist down as of 2026. In a later lawsuit, Clancy said that she heard a male voice directing her to commit the acts. Clancy claimed she woke up with a suicidal thought. In the afternoon, she claimed a voice began to tell her to harm the children. After Patrick left to pick up the food, Clancy claimed the voice became loud, demanding, and repeatedly told her, "This is your last chance. You have to kill the kids so you can kill yourself." Clancy claimed that a force took over her and that she felt an overwhelming, irresistible compulsion to comply.
Scroll down. Continue.
After returning home, Patrick discovered the upstairs bedroom bloodied and the window open. He ran outside and found Clancy lying outside, injured and semi-conscious. Patrick called 911 and the police responded to the call at 6:11 p.m. While still on the phone with 911, Patrick entered the house to look for the children. He made his way to the basement and discovered all 3 children. Each of them were unconscious and in medical distress. Resuscitation efforts were made by responders. The children were taken to Beth Israel Decadence Hospital, Plymouth, where Cora, age 5, and Dawson, age 3, were pronounced dead. The youngest, Callahan, 8 months. Fuck, someone else read. I'm sorry.
Arrived to the hospital and carried arrest.
No. Sorry, you have an accent. Go ahead.
Oh, me?
Yeah.
Okay. Sorry, where are we at?
At the youngest.
He was flown by medical helicopter to Boston Children's Hospital.
Last line.
Where he
Oh,
needed.
can you?
Guys, come on.
I'm sorry. Where Cora, age 5, and
Oh
Dawson,
my
age
God,
3
where he
were-
needed a ventilator. He died after 3 days on January 27th, 2023. Scroll down. Scroll down. We're going to skip to the current standing of the legal proceedings. Scroll. We're not going to read all this. Scroll down to the very bottom. Hold on. Scroll back up. Okay. All right, so that's kind of it. They rested their case. It's going to go to jury deliberations, I believe, either on Monday or Tuesday. On Monday, the prosecutor and defense are going to give closing arguments, and then from there, the jury will deliberate. I suspect, I mean, I don't know. I don't think they're going to deliberate for very long, but yeah, so, okay. That's the case. Now, the interesting part about this, which we're going to get into, is, I'm sorry, you can't do that. It's causing too much noise. We got microphones. So, millions of women, predominant, it's 99% women, are supporting her, are defending her. Now, there's varying degrees to their support and defense. Some of them go as far as she goes, which is to say that Lindsay Clancy, in fact, did not kill the children. She was framed, she was set up, it's some conspiracy. Others do, in fact, believe that she did commit this crime, but perhaps because of the postpartum depression or other reasons, or the sisterhood, that she isn't guilty or shouldn't be found guilty or should have leniency or something like this. I would like to remind you that the women who are her supporters, who do in fact believe she murdered her three children, I still even find that problematic, but I certainly find it more problematic the conspiracy theorists and deniers who believe the husband did it, somebody else did it, she was framed, she didn't do it. So that's your position. She did not do it.
Well, I think there is more to it. I feel like after this podcast, whenever you guys get a chance, study up on everything. Like, look at it. They have everything public. And you can look at summarizing clips. And
They don't have everything public.
They do have most of the stuff public.
Is the 911 call public?
There's 911 calls for this case that are public.
It is not public. It has not been made public.
But they used it in court, so there's a video of it. You can hear his 911 call he made and his testimony on what he said. So those are through the court live streams that they were having.
Okay, but so your contention is, what do you think happened?
I think there is more to it because the doctors did say she did not show signs of psychosis or suicidal thoughts. They have asked her many, many times. All her doctors and witnesses came and said she didn't show any of those signs. They checked up on her.
Okay, so really quick on that. Have you ever heard like where somebody commits a suicide and people are surprised, like, oh, I didn't see the signs?
The signs were there all the time.
No.
I feel like you guys.
So whoa, oh my God, this is so bad faith. So every single suicide that has ever occurred in human history, there were definitely signs.
They all have their own
except
signs.
for Lindsay Clancy.
No, they all have their own signs.
No, there's definitely people who commit suicide, and it's like, I didn't see the signs.
No, I had a friend who was the sweetest, happiest person who had a lot going for him.
Meme. She's doing the meme.
No.
You're doing the meme.
But
okay, can I ask you a question? Are men taller than women?
No. Like taller?
Yes, are men taller than women?
Not. I mean, most men, yeah, most men are taller.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm pretty tall, so I was just.
Okay,
going
yeah,
based
but
off.
so generally speaking, are men taller than women?
Yes.
But there are some women. Okay. Let me ask you a question. If you didn't have breakfast this morning, how would you feel?
like kind of hungry.
Okay, well, she passes that. Good job. Okay, so.
Did they ever evaluate her? Because you're saying that she was hospitalized. They said they didn't see any of that,
And they released her.
But sometimes like hormonal changes and imbalances, obviously, of you having a birth. Like
Sorry.
Actually, Religious donated $100.
Sorry for the delay, guys.
Share 3 is a poster child for the reasons to repeal the 19th and to bring back soap operas to give drama queens and the candy cult something irrelevant to focus on. Holy batshit crazy man.
Sorry, guys.